Welcome, bold history seekers. Today we explore the darkest age, when the Roman Empire almost fell. A vast empire starts to fall. In 50 years, 26 rulers took the throne, and most met a deadly fate. A deadly plague quickly arose, claiming 5,000 people daily, right inside the broken capital. Invaders were not the fatal threat. What truly shattered the great empire was just a tiny, worthless coin. How could dark inflation destroy Rome? Let us open the mystery box and find the brutal truth right now. For hundreds of years, the Roman Empire stood unconquered, a beacon of mighty wealth and eternal strength. But in the 3rd century, a dark shadow fell over the land, bringing a reign of absolute terror. The golden age of peace was shattered, replaced by endless military anarchy across the realm. Ambitious generals turned against the state, leading their own legions to capture the imperial throne. These barracks emperors seized power through ruthless force and violence, tearing the noble republic apart. Loyalty became a commodity bought with stolen gold, as soldiers betrayed their commanders for wealth. Trapped in a vicious cycle of betrayal, an emperor rarely survived more than a few chaotic months. As the rulers fell one by one to usurpers, the once glorious Senate watched in helpless silence. To make matters worse, a terrifying disease known as the Plague of Cyprian swept across the land. The streets of Rome were choked with the dying, as citizens collapsed from a mysterious and fatal fever. Dark volcanic ash blocked the warm sunlight, creating a sense of doomsday among the starving people. Granaries sat empty, while desperate families roamed the shadowy alleys in search of rotten bread. The mighty frontiers, once heavily guarded, were left defenseless as legions marched away to fight civil wars. Seeing this weakness, fierce barbarian tribes from the north gathered at the borders, hungry for riches. The Goths crossed the Danube River in massive numbers, bringing fire and destruction to peaceful provinces. Thracian cities burned to the ground, and countless innocent Romans were vanquished or taken as dark slaves. Heroic defenders fought bravely on shattered walls, but they were overwhelmed by the sheer barbaric force. Further to the east, another giant threat awoke from the scorching deserts of ancient Persia. King Shapur I, a ruthless Sassanid monarch, unleashed his armored cavalry upon Syria. Like a metallic storm, his elite cataphracts crushed the exhausted Roman infantry into the dust. Emperor Valerian marched out to stop them, only to lead his army into a brutal trap. In a humiliating defeat, the Roman ruler was captured alive, dragged away in iron chains. The proud master of the world was forced to kneel in the cold mud, used as a footstool for the Persian king. News of this disaster sent shockwaves across the realm, shattering the myth of invincibility. Abandoned by the weak central government, the provinces began to break away to save themselves. In the west, the Gallic Empire declared its own independence, guarding Britain and Gaul from native threats. In the rich east, the Palmyrene Empire rose to power, taking control of Egypt and crucial trade routes. The once unstoppable Roman world was now fractured into 3 bitter and rival territories. To many historians, these foreign invasions and civil wars seem like the ultimate empire killers. But is this the whole truth? Rome had faced far deadlier foes before, like the dark genius Hannibal. Why did the grand state suddenly collapse this time? The answer lies deep within the imperial vault. Hidden behind the clash of swords and the roar of battle, a silent agent of doomsday was at work. It was not a fierce barbarian warlord, or a deadly sickness that broke the back of ancient Rome. To uncover the real culprit, we must look away from the frontiers and step into the dark mints. For decades, the legions demanded higher and higher pay to keep their swords loyal to the throne.
We are legionaries, not beggars.
To avoid being dethroned today, desperate emperors had to provide mountains of silver coins. But the emperor's treasury was running empty, drained by constant wars and epidemic disasters. So the government devised a treacherous plan. They began to secretly debase the currency. The legendary Roman denarius, once forged from 95% pure shining silver. Mint workers in dark underground rooms started mixing cheap copper and bronze into the melting pots. Year after year, the amount of precious metal in each coin fell lower and lower without notice. Under the reign of Claudius II, the silver content dropped to a miserable 5%. What was once a symbol of global trust was now nothing more than a piece of blackened, worthless trash. Crafty merchants quickly realized the deception. They saw the dull color and felt the lighter weight. Soon, no one in the marketplaces wanted to accept these fake imperial coins for their good products. A loaf of bread that once cost half a denarius suddenly demanded a full bag of copper pieces. Massive inflation exploded across the empire, wiping out the savings of common Roman citizens. People starved in the streets because the money in their pockets could no longer buy any vital food. Angry mobs rioted in the cities, torching buildings as the agricultural economy collapsed. The complex trade networks that connected the Mediterranean world completely broke down in famine. Society was forced to take a massive step backward, returning to a primitive barter system to live. Farmers traded grain for iron tools, and weavers exchanged woolen tunics for small jars of olive oil. But the most dangerous consequence of this financial crisis struck at the heart of the Roman army. When soldiers received their monthly wages in worthless metal, their frustration quickly turned into blind rage. Disgusted legionaries threw their coin pouches into the dirt, refusing to defend the shattered empire. Unpaid and starving, elite troops became ruthless bandits, pillaging the lands they once protected. This was the true poison that broke the Republic, a total loss of faith in the national currency. Without a functioning economy, even the mightiest army on earth will crumble from the inside. The situation seemed hopeless. The proud Roman eagle was dragged through the mud, bleeding from countless deep wounds. But history is shaped by those who refuse to surrender, even when apocalypse is at the dark gates. From the ashes of this unprecedented crisis, a harsh and unforgiving savior finally emerged. His name was Aurelian, a cavalry commander who seized the imperial throne with an iron fist. He understood that soft words and old traditions could no longer save a dying, fractured civilization. Only extreme brutality and strict military discipline could stitch the bleeding realm back together. As the self-proclaimed restorer of the world, Aurelian launched a series of relentless wars of conquest. He marched his hardened troops against the Goths, driving the invaders back across the Danube with merciless force. Then he turned his attention to the east, marching across the scorching desert to crush the Palmyrene uprising. Queen Zenobia fell in battle, her rich kingdom ruthlessly brought back under Roman control. Finally, he moved west, shattering the Gallic army and forcing their rebel leader to openly surrender. In just 5 short years, this iron warrior did the impossible, uniting the fractured Roman pieces. But the Roman Empire that emerged from the ashes was fundamentally different from the old Republic. To protect the vulnerable city, Aurelian built massive, solid brick defensive walls. For centuries, Rome never needed walls, because its mighty legions kept all enemies at a safe distance. Building these fortifications was a grim admission that the age of dominance was finally over. The new government became a harsh dictatorship, quickly stripping away basic civil freedoms. The emperor was no longer the first among equals, but a divine lord and master, demanding total worship. Inflation continued to plague the realm, forcing later rulers to fix prices under strict threat of death.
We have nothing left.
Traders who sold goods above the legal limit were silenced forever, creating endless paranoia. Citizens were locked into their professions, meaning a farmer's son was forced to be a farmer forever. This oppressive system managed to keep the empire alive, but it destroyed the spirit of innovation. The 3rd century crisis proves that even the mightiest superpower rests on a fragile basis. When a government destroys its own money to fund endless wars, it invites doomsday upon its own people. Today, we can look back at the shattered ruins of ancient Rome and learn a harsh financial lesson. Invaders with iron swords can certainly breach the outer defenses and burn the border cities away. But only economic collapse and internal betrayal can strike a fatal blow to the heart of the state. Aurelian won the battles, but he could never fully heal the deep wounds of hyperinflation damage. He saved the Roman world from immediate doom, granting the empire another 200 years of survival. Yet the seeds of its final destruction were already planted deep within the imperial system itself. History shows us that glory is fleeting, and every great power on earth has a hidden expiration date. The legions of Rome would continue to march, but they walked in the dark shadow of their inevitable doom. The barbarians were no longer just at the gates. They were slowly becoming a part of the empire itself. Soon, a new age would dawn, sweeping away the ancient gods and the classical world into a violent abyss. The age of antiquity was bleeding out, preparing the continent for the brutal iron of the Middle Ages. We leave the 3rd century behind, knowing that the ultimate fall of Rome was now a matter of bitter time. As long as men crave power and gold, the ghosts of this anarchy will continue to haunt modern civilizations. The Roman citizen was forever changed by this deep 50-year trauma, losing their ancient pride. People no longer trusted the state to protect their fragile lives, relying strictly on local lords. This economic shift planted the early seeds of strict medieval feudalism across the land. Wealthy landowners built massive private estates, gathering desperate peasants for cheap labor. The glorious classical cities began to slowly empty out, leaving behind monumental ruins. Even the proud military machine was rebuilt to handle the swift barbarian cavalry. Heavy armored horsemen became the new elite force, pushing the legendary foot soldiers back. For decades, the emperors ruled strictly from the bloody battlefield, rarely visiting the capital. Rome was politically marginalized, serving only as a grand museum of a forgotten age. The true centers of absolute power shifted closer to the violent and heavily guarded borders. Yet the tragic curse of the barracks emperors claimed one final and devastating historic victim. In the year 275, Aurelian was betrayed by his own paranoid officers. The strict restorer of the world bled out on the cold dirt ground, betrayed by the men he recently saved. His shocking, dark betrayal proved that the brutal military culture was still entirely out of control. However, his mighty walls and ruthless economic reforms gave the dying empire a second chance. Diocletian soon took the throne, fully establishing the oppressive system known as the Dominate. The illusion of a free republic was finally buried under heavy crowns and golden jewels. Citizens were officially treated as mere subjects of a divine and terrifying absolute lord. The catastrophic crisis taught humanity a harsh lesson about the fragile nature of wealth. An invincible superpower can easily rot from the inside when greedy leaders destroy the coin. Hyperinflation wiped out centuries of progress, plunging millions into sudden, endless poverty. Whenever modern nations carelessly print unlimited currency, they walk this exact same path. The ghosts of Rome whisper a dark warning across time, reminding us that no civilization is safe. As we look beyond the 3rd century, the classical world slowly fades into the approaching dark. The once unified Mediterranean Sea would eventually shatter into mighty kingdoms. Barbarian kings would wear the purple robes, blending savage traditions with ancient Roman laws. Christianity would rise from the shadows, replacing pagan temples with towering Gothic spires. The great age of the sword and the shield is finally drawing to a close, making way for a deadly dawn. All glorious human power ultimately comes with a strict and unavoidable expiration date. When all Europe crosses the threshold of the Middle Ages, the dawn of the modern era will soon start. Ancient myths will be completely shattered when black powder and heavy cannons roar across the dark land. The unbreakable walls of ancient empires will easily crumble under the terrifying fire. A brand new kind of warfare is about to emerge, changing the entire continent forevermore. Kings and generals will fall, replaced by brutal industrialized weapons of mass destruction. This marks the final sunset of antiquity, opening the door to a much darker, chaotic time. Prepare yourselves for an epic journey through the bloodiest transition in recorded human history. The final flames of ancient Rome are slowly dying, but the burning sparks will ignite a massive firestorm. Thank you for walking through the dark ruins of the 3rd century with us on this historic quest. We have survived the barracks emperors, the terrifying plagues, and the brutal economic fall. But the great wheel of history never stops turning, and the next chapter promises greater destruction. Will the human spirit endure the explosive violence of the upcoming massive revolution? Welcome to Season 5, the twilight of the era. Get ready for a completely different war. We will explore the massive rise of gunpowder, the fall of brave knights, and the birth of modern global states. The battlefields will be completely redefined by thick smoke, flying lead, and deafening cannons. History is a brutal teacher, and its violent lessons are strictly written in blood, steel, and fire. As the Roman legions fade away, a brand new generation of warriors steps into the light. The ultimate question remains: who will survive the terrifying weapons of the early modern age? Aurelian saved the Roman world through iron terror and brutal blood. Was he a tyrant or a savior? Would you trade your freedom to survive a vast economic collapse? Leave a comment to share your thoughts. Please like this video and share with friends. Subscribe to our channel right now for more epic history.